There are a very few gaming laptops in the market right now that strike the perfect balance between portability and crazy high specs. But this guy seems to have figured it out by hitting that sweet spot. So is there a catch? Find out in this review of the Alienware M15 R3. Before I dive straight into the specifications, let's check out the pricing and the variants this guy comes in. The R3 series is actually really powerful, featuring Intel's 10th Gen Comet Lake Edge series processors, and it also comes in two variants. The base model, priced at around Rs 2.65 lakhs, comes with an Intel Core i7 RTX 2070 GPU and the specs that you can see on the screen right now. The top of the line variant, the one that I received for this review, takes it a notch further with a Core i9 CPU and RTX 2080 Super Max Q and costs around 3.4 lakh rupees. Okay, now that the pricing is out of the way, let's talk about the build quality and design of the laptop. The M15 R3 is built very well. It has an outer shell and the keyboard deck that is made out of magnesium alloy to keep its weight low while ensuring a solid build quality. It's soft to touch, but it doesn't feel the same as soft touch plastic. It is significantly more resistant to fingerprints, smudges and scratches, something that is very important to the Cheetos gobbling gaming audience it is going for. But you can expect it to get discolored sooner or later, as this is only available in white color. Interestingly, the laptop doesn't have a single sharp corner anywhere. The grippy texture and rounded corners make it relatively portable, as you can move around with relative ease, even though it's not that light at 2.5 kilograms. Just like most gaming laptops, it is also laden with RGB lighting everywhere. You can find RGB around the rear vent, the Alienware logo, on the lid and of course on the keyboard. All of which is customizable through the proprietary app that we will get to in just a moment. There's also very little flex on the display and the keyboard deck, which again owes a lot to the choice of materials. While I do understand that RGB lighting isn't for everyone, I kind of dig this look of just having a neat exterior but still having some sort of lights on it. In terms of I/O, on the left of the laptop you will find a USB 3.2 port, the only one having power share, an Ethernet port and a multifunctional 3.5mm jack. On the right you will find two more USB 3.2 ports without power share and a micro SD card slot. At the back you will find charging, mini display, HDMI and Thunderbolt 3 compatible Type-C ports, as well as Alienware's proprietary graphics amplifier port. The speakers are decent, if not great. They are front firing this time, as the M15 R2 had a bottom firing set. They have good bass and mid response, so you should be able to hear the gunshots in a game clearly, but they miss out on high frequencies. By the way, if you're enjoying this review so far, do not forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon so that you are always notified of our latest videos. Now let's get back to the review by talking about the display of this thing. My variant came with a 15.6-inch OLED display with a resolution of 3840 by 2160 and a refresh rate of 60 FPS. Since it has that UHD resolution and that OLED tech, the colors are vibrant and almost everything appears gorgeous. It is also HDR 500 certified, which means you get local dimming and 400 nits of brightness. But it's not good for gaming, as it lacks high screen and input refresh rates. It's also got a glossy finish, not just on the display but also on the bezels, so you would be struggling to fight the glare if you're going to use this in bright environments. If you're looking to watch movies though, you can't beat this panel. Alright, now we are in the zone where this laptop truly tries to make a mark: performance. Thanks to those bleeding edge, no compromise specifications, you get really good gaming performance all the time. Every single game I threw at it, heavy or light, ran smoothly on high settings. It even runs ray tracing titles at 4K with relative ease. Warzone with ray tracing enabled at ultra graphics at 4K resolution ran consistently at around 55 FPS, while at 1080p I got to see 65 FPS. Shadow of the Tomb Raider ran on average at 75 FPS with ray tracing and DLSS enabled at 1080p. When cranked to 4K, it could manage up to 51 FPS, which is playable. Far Cry 5 at 4K ran at 43 FPS with graphics at the highest. Slightly less heavy titles such as Horizon Zero Dawn ran at an average of 71 FPS at 1080p using the high graphics settings. Coming to thermal performance, if you play games with quieter fan modes enabled, you will observe some sort of thermal throttling. I tried this with Horizon Zero Dawn, which ran at 40 FPS with the quiet fan mode enabled, while at higher fan modes, I observed 71 FPS that I just mentioned before. This was at 1080p with the high graphics settings. It wasn't uncommon to see the CPU temperature to go up to 80 to 90 degrees and even 100 degrees at times while playing games like Far Cry and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. This laptop has a tendency to run very toasty even when the fans are set to high, but hey, the games run smoothly. In terms of synthetic benchmarks, PC Mark X posted scores of 5,349 and 6,413 in standard and extended runs respectively. Cinebench achieved 3065 and 460 points respectively in multi-core and single-core tests, while POV Ray finished its benchmark in 1 minute 32 seconds. 3D Mark's TimeSpy and TimeSpy Extreme scores were 7,349 and 3,494 respectively, while the Port Royal test managed 4,931. In regular non-gaming use, surprisingly, I observed some periodic stutters while navigating between tasks if the fans were set to run quietly. The laptop runs slightly hot even though if it's not loaded with heavy apps. Now let's touch the software side of things. The Alienware M15 R3 comes preloaded with Dell utilities such as Alienware Command Center and Mobile Connect. Command Center lets you tweak things like lighting, fan speed, CPU and GPU frequency, and even voltage. And it is very elaborative. And you can also save specific profiles for specific games. I found it to be really intuitive to use, and you will find yourself using it more often than you may think. The laptop also comes with Tobii eye tracking, which has support for a few recent titles. It works beautifully, especially in games like F1 2020, where it's supposed to focus on a particular corner while executing a turn. It is also built into the Windows UI, which means you can control certain elements of the OS such as multitasking and even moving the cursor just with your eyes. It felt a bit unnatural at first, but I picked it up quicker than I had expected, and when I did go back to my own laptop, the lack of eye gestures really bugged me. Coming to trackpad and keyboard, this is the area that actually impressed me more than the raw performance. Some high-end gaming laptops try to woo customers by including a half-baked mechanical keyboard, but not this one. It has a fantastic membrane keyboard with a slightly shallow travel and satisfying feedback. It is not noisy, it's properly spaced out and has buttons that are ever so slightly concave and are of the exact size I love. It's a very subjective thing, I know, but it's very well implemented. The trackpad too is great. It's precise and it has a very nice texture to it. And more importantly, unlike other gaming laptops, it's not an afterthought. It's very much an integral part of the package, and that just gets a chef's kiss from me. Now it's time to talk about battery life and battery performance. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this bit because it's just straight up bad. The Alienware M15 R3 comes with an 86 watt-hour battery and a huge power adapter which weighs around 800 grams, which may make the entire package a bit heavy if you're planning to take it around in a bag. Be it synthetic battery tests or real-world performance, the laptop can only last a couple of hours at most, which isn't ideal. The battery eater test ended in a measly 1 hour 15 minutes, and it takes about 2 hours to charge this entire thing from 0 to 100. This can be attributed to the power-hungry configuration, so it's fine for the people who are okay with keeping it on AC power for most of the time. To sum it up, the top variant of the Alienware M15 R3 is a great laptop, but it is hard to recommend to hardcore gamers despite its crazy specifications, mainly because of that display. We would also have loved a slightly better thermal performance and of course a lower price tag. And that brings us to the end of this review. Are you planning to buy this laptop? Let us know in the comments. And if you like this review, do not forget to hit that like button and share it with your friends. And for all things tech, log on to gadgets360.com.